Prison subculture is most clearly seen through all male prison populations. A key element to the subculture is that the incarcerated men must exhibit their force and strength against one another and assert their dominance over other inmates in order to survive. This creates an environment that places an emphasis on masculinity and role-taking. Consequences for not abiding with prison subculture rules usually results in sexual assault and/or violent assault, which may sometimes be fatal. According to a Gresham Psych study, there are 5 main rules that make up the prison subculture. Don't interfere with inmate interest, don't quarrel with fellow inmates, don't exploit inmates, maintain yourself, and don't trust the guards or the things they stand for. Within the prison subculture, there are many roles and titles that are taken on as well as given. According to the textbook, these titles include a right guy or real man, which is someone who upholds prison values and interest. A square John, which is someone with a non-criminal self-concept. A punk, which is a passive homosexual. A rat, which is someone who squeals or sells out to the authorities. A fish, which is a newcomer to the prison system. A gorilla or wolf, which is an aggressive individual who pursues his own self-interest at others' expense. Just as society has consequences for violating norms, prison subculture does as well. Unfortunately, consequences for violating the rules of prison subculture results in a violent assault or a sexual assault. Victims of sexual assault in prison are often those who suffer from mental illnesses. Their lack of physical strength and lack of mental awareness usually leads to their victimization. There are several factors that contribute to violence in prison. They are inadequate supervision by staff members, architectural design, availability of deadly weapons, the housing of violence-prone individuals near relatively defenseless people, physical size and condition of the prison, and the relations between inmates and the staff of the institution. Steps that can be taken to reduce prison violence include placing more of an emphasis on the accuracy of prisoner classification, providing more access to protective custody for inmates, building and or altering prison architecture to limit security flaws, as well as building smaller housing units.
According to the Department of Justice, meals in prison cost between $3 to $5 a day per inmate. This is approximately 85 cents to $1 per meal. Inmates are provided 3 meals a day with an option of purchasing commissary once or twice a week. The meals are typically prepared by outside civilians and then reheated by low-level inmates without the use of any knives or sharp objects. Special diets may be given to inmates with dietary restrictions such as vegetarians, pregnant females, religious requirements, and health concerns. These inmates must speak with a dietitian in order to confirm their restriction and get the meals they need. Unfortunately, many inmates do not have any kind of medical treatment before they are incarcerated, so jails and prisons often have to act as a primary public health system for these individuals. Because there are so many inmates within the prisons, the odds of disease spreading increases 25%. The most common diseases within prisons are viral hepatitis, tuberculosis, and HIV. Inmates also come in with other medical concerns such as diabetes, high blood pressure, infections, drug or alcohol addictions, and mental illnesses. Every inmate is required to see a nurse before they are booked into a cell to address any of the needs or medications they may require. At this point, the nurse will order any of those medications for the inmate that need to be on file, and depending on their illness or addiction, will be classified as such. Many people know that inmates are classified into specific categories once they reach their housing facility. However, many people don't know what the classification consists of. There are 2 types of classifications, one externally outside the jails and prisons and one internally inside the jails and prisons. The classification outside the jails and prisons purely determines where the inmate will go to serve his or her time. The classification inside the jails and prisons is to find where that inmate is best suited. This can include classifying gender, race, sexuality, the crime committed, previous occupation, affiliations before incarceration, mental health concerns, and high risk or low risk. Depending on how inmates are classified, it will determine their quality of life while they are incarcerated. Classification is often used to reward or punish inmates. and it was originally designed to assign inmates roles and let the guards know who was dangerous and who was lower level. However, as time has passed, it changed to making sure inmates were put with the same type of people and the same groups to prevent fights, sexual assaults, and even deaths. Reclassification is usually assessed once a year unless an inmate had to be reclassified prior.
So in this slide, I'm going to talk about the inmate housing condition. So pretty much the prison cell. Prisoners spend 10 hours a day out of their cells, but while they're inside their cells, the cells are usually about 6 by 8 feet. Majority of them, concrete walls. It's pretty much a small space for one person, and especially they do have their beds, so the bed do take majority of the space as well. As you can see in the top right picture, you can see a toilet, a sink, and 2 shelves. That's the majority of the cells are for one person. So the bed is there. Just picture the bed there. So pretty much they don't have much space to do anything. Maybe just walk back and forth, or do some push-ups or sit-ups. But majority of inmates in the cell do contain like pens, pencils, playing cards, books, sketchbooks. So pretty much some inmates do tend to draw a lot. Other inmates do a lot of writing. Some inmates do read a lot of books just so to kill time. They do have a lot of time, especially if they're in there for a while. So also while they're inside, prison cells temperatures do rise, and such as they reach up to 150 degrees and other times as low as 25 degrees. Inmates do tend to have blankets. There's no AC or no heaters or anything like that, so pretty much the way they could stay warm is with blankets, the majority of them. When it gets hot, some inmates do tend to take their clothes off. So in this slide, I'm going to talk about the activities of prisoners. Prisoners have nothing but time. Prisoners tend to work out a lot as well, such as they run marathons, they play sports, so basketball, soccer, football, tennis, handball, or they could just gain some upper body strength. They lift some weights, do some pull-ups, push-ups, sit-ups, and majority of the guards in prisons do like that. For those who stay healthy in prison, tend to reduce their medical costs. But also other inmates do have jobs in prison. They clean other inmates' cells, they pick up the trash, they tend to become trustees. Trustees are pretty much the side of the guards to reduce their times, or they gain other perks they gain, such as more extra time watching TV, more extra time being outside, etc. Others do tend to gain some skill trade as well. They learn a skill trade in prison. Prisoners who learn a vocational trade in prison have a 43% chance in returning to prison, so that's pretty much good as well. Others do tend to read books, attend discussion boards or in groups, go to counseling, do some drawing and writing letters to loved ones outside, play some games. But also, majority of them do gamble. Prisoners can gamble anything. They gamble their clothes, their shoes, money, just some goods of theirs. Other inmates do like just sit around, play some chess, watch some TV if they can, or others do gain some knowledge. They become jailhouse lawyers. Pretty much a prisoner who assists other prisoners in dealing with legal matters tend to learn the law as well, or even gain their college or high school degree. Some prisons do have the opportunity to give prisoners a degree as well. They tend to go to school. On this next slide, I'm going to talk about gangs. Pretty much prison gangs took hold of America's incarcerated society around the 1950s, when prison population quickly rose at the same time prison diversity was rising as well. The 4 main gangs around the prison system are the Aryan Brotherhood. They believe to have around 20,000 members. the Nuestra Familia, over 1,000 members. Nazi lowriders, I believe 5,000 or less. And then yet the gang, they pretty much have around 12,000 between the U.S. and Puerto Rico. Yes. So pretty much a lot of inmates tend to join gangs. The main reason is for their safety. People in prison feel vulnerable, and turning to gangs is a way to protect themselves from other inmates. Also, it just depends how gangs wants them to join as well. It takes a lot of effort to join a gang in prison as well. Some gangs tend to run economy in the prisons. They pretty much regulate things like cell phones, drugs, alcohol, weapons, or also get the guards involved in their trading. They either bribe them with money or drugs, or they even threat their lives outside a prison and inside. But other gangs just cause violence. They cause a lot and riots. They kill inmates, other inmates, guards, just to have the power to do it. They want to be tough. And on this next slide, I'm going to talk about perspective of an inmate named Timothy Tyler. He was 22 years old when he was arrested for selling around, I believe, $4,000 worth of LSD. He was handed 2 life sentences without the possibility of parole. He didn't think he would ever get out. But after serving about 26 years behind bars, Tyler was freed after receiving clemency, I believe, from Barack Obama in 2016. And he did an interview. So in the interview, he did say that everything is the same. What he did yesterday is the same thing. What he doing today, what he did weeks ago is the same thing he did today. What he did months ago is the same. He pretty much said that every day you see the same people. Every day you see the same bed, the same ceiling, the same fence. So pretty much he recommended that inmates need to set a routine for themselves to not get bored and go insane. Tyler wasn't the tough one like other inmates. He didn't work out as much. He didn't lift weights. As you can see, the top right, he was 23 years old in that picture when he got arrested. In the top left, that's him now. I believe he is 51 years old in age. But he was kind to everyone. He joined discussion groups, counseling to his mind so he won't go insane. A lot of inmates do tend to go outside to get some sun. Pretty much as he said in the video in his interview, that he tend to go outside for the nature. He said a very few inmates took off their shoes and walk on the grass just so they have a feeling of nature, of the outside world. I do recommend this interview of his. I'm gonna play this little scene in the video.
I would feel way better after I'm done playing. Like if I'm out there playing for like 3 hours, I used a lot of energy up, and I felt satisfied and happy. And then I would stay there till like 3:30 in the afternoon, you know. Or if everybody left at say 2:30, then I would try to get some sun. I'd sit in the sun for at least an hour. You lose track with nature, you know.
A lot of inmates do have a routine. They set a routine for themselves, so each day they can have something to look forward. I'm also gonna put a link below, or a link in our PowerPoint, so you guys will have a chance to see this video.